Is flour addictive? As a health coach, I help women over 40 to lose weight for the last time with a healthy, real food lifestyle free from sugar and flour. But have you ever thought sugar is definitely the problem for me, but I don't think I'm addicted to flour? You're not alone. Many women I coach feel the same way at first. But today I'm going to unpack the science and psychology behind why flour and processed foods can be just as addictive and problematic as sugar, even if they don't feel that way at first. So let's break the cycle of food addiction and help you to find peace and freedom with food and your body. This is episode number 201. Is flour addictive? This is the Healthy Real Food Podcast. I'm your coach, Erin Hart, a registered nurse and health coach who understands the struggle of feeling out of control around food and has walked the path of transformation, experiencing the miracle of sustainable weight loss with the sugar and flour-free lifestyle. If you are a woman who feels powerless against your cravings and is ready to live your life with more energy, mental clarity, and purpose, there is hope. Here, we believe that with God, a mindset of unstoppability, and consistent execution of a winning strategy, anything is possible for you. So, if you're ready to find freedom from food addiction, take control of your health, and pursue your dreams with renewed energy, support, and accountability, let's go. Hey, my friend, welcome back to the Healthy Real Food Podcast. So glad that you're here. Today, we're talking about something I hear from women in our community who say, I know that sugar is my problem, but I don't know that I'm addicted to flour. And I get it. Sugar is the obvious villain. It's sweet, it gives that fast dopamine rush, and you feel it instantly. But what if I told you that flour, especially when combined with fat and salt, can be just as addictive and problematic? So let's talk about what's really going on with your brain and your body when you eat refined flour and processed foods. So many women feel trapped in the cycle of overeating, weight gain, cravings, and fatigue, and they're just looking for a way out. 70% of our food supply in the United States is ultra processed. And so we can identify sugar as a problem. And when we do that, it's easy to think, I'll just stop eating candy and sweets. But we unknowingly keep flour in our life, often in the form of bread, crackers, protein bars, pasta, or baked goods. And if you've been trying to eat better, but you're still feeling out of control, constantly hungry, or emotionally reactive around food, flour and processed carbohydrates may be that hidden key. So let's break this down with some science-backed truth. Flour is addictive because of how it affects your blood sugar, hormones, and brain chemistry. Processed foods are also very calorically dense compared to the whole food options. So think of the amount of calories in a McDonald's hamburger, 700 calories, compared to a cup of broccoli, which is 31 calories. So just like sugar, refined flour is rapidly broken down into glucose. It spikes your blood sugar, triggers a big release of insulin into your bloodstream, and it sets off a crash that leaves you feeling tired, moody, and craving more carbohydrate. A 2013 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that high glycemic foods like white bread and refined carbohydrates activated the brain's nucleus accumbens, the same area that's lit up by addictive drugs like cocaine and nicotine. So even more importantly, flour is rarely eaten alone. It's usually part of what researchers call hyperpalatable foods. So those processed in combinations of refined carbohydrates, sugar, fat, and salt, designed to bypass your body's natural satiety signals by food chemists and food engineers. A 2019 study from the NIH, led by Dr. Kevin Hall, showed that participants eating ultra-processed foods matched for calories, protein, and carbohydrates ate 500 more calories per day without realizing it. So these foods literally override your ability to stop eating. Finally, flour stimulates the dopamine reward system in your brain, just like sugar does. So, over time, repeated dopamine spikes can lead to a tolerance and a withdrawal, creating those cravings and the compulsive eating pattern with food. Dr. Ashley Gerhardt's Yell food addiction scale includes refined carbohydrates like flour as part of the most commonly overconsumed and addictive foods. But having said all of that, not everyone has a food addiction. Some people can moderate sugar and flour without any issue, and they can have a cookie and move on. They are fit and healthy and don't have drama around food or spiral out of control when they eat an occasional treat. But if you're like many of my clients and like me from years ago, you know exactly what I mean when we talk about feeling out of control around food. If you've ever found yourself eating and you don't want to be, thinking, I know this is hurting me, but I can't stop. That is food addiction. So here's a simple check in. If there were a plate of cookies on your counter, could you take one bite and forget about them for the rest of the week or the rest of the day at least? Or would you obsess? Would you sneak more, hide it, eat the whole plate and feel sick or ashamed after? Before I found a sugar and flour free lifestyle, I tried it all and failed for years with Weight Watchers, Noom, calorie counting, and just killing myself at the gym, trying to lose weight, only to regain the weight back again. I was just stuck on this dieting roller coaster for years because I wasn't addressing the root cause of my issues with food. I was still eating addictive foods and trying to moderate them. And it's just like a person who's addicted to drugs or alcohol. Some people can moderate those and live a normal life, and other people cannot moderate them. Like you would not offer a drink to an alcoholic, and people who are going off drugs, they find new friends and they create a whole new environment for themselves so that they're not around that anymore. A food addiction is a progressive issue unless you address the root cause, which are these addictive foods that light up that reward center of your brain and cause those cravings. So if you are obese or overweight, your eating behaviors are compulsive, or you just feel out of control around food, you're not alone and you are not broken. You just have a human brain that is seeking pleasure in our world of abundance. But there is hope by removing addictive foods, foods that contain sugar and flour, foods that are highly and ultra processed. You can find peace. But if you've already removed sugar and flour and still finding yourself struggling at times, be aware that sometimes even compliant foods can become problems. And why is that? Because your brain is wired to seek pleasure. When you remove the fast dopamine hits from sugar and flour, your brain might start searching for new sources of reward, like eating more foods, more quantities, or eating more nut butters or compliant high fat foods, overeating fruit or starches, snacking more frequently, even on compliant foods, obsessing over meal prep or food timing or the size of your apple, right? So, this is what researchers call addiction transfer. And when the original source of dopamine is removed, the sugar and flour, when that's removed, the brain can try to get the same reward from somewhere else, sometimes from food, but also maybe from shopping, scrolling on social media, overworking, or even excessive exercise. Neuroscience research shows that dopamine seeking behavior doesn't just disappear, it shifts. Dr. Judson Brewer, a neuroscientist and addiction psychiatrist, he explains that breaking the habit loop means becoming aware of the craving, the trigger, behavior, reward cycle, and interrupting it consciously, interrupting it. So, this is why mindset and awareness are just as important as your food environment. So remember, eat for purpose, not just pleasure. Plan meals that nourish you and keep you satisfied, but don't Use food as entertainment. Don't skip mindset work. Journaling, praying, meditating, checking in with a coach or a support group is so important. And the real transformation comes from rewiring how you think about food and emotion. Find new sources of a true reward. Replace the reward. Swap food as your coping tool for something that actually feeds your spirit, like connection, movement, worship, creativity, or service. So you need to replace the reward. If you're eating in response to stress, boredom, anxiety, or fatigue, your brain is still looking for relief in food, even if it's technically on plan. So find healthy ways to get that dopamine hit. And most importantly, bring compassionate curiosity to your transformation. You're not broken if you deviated from your plan or if you slipped up or you find yourself struggling. You're just human, and perfection is not a healthy standard for human beings. So, progress over perfection. And just remember, you can retrain your brain. It takes time and patience and consistency, but you can build a lifestyle of true peace and satisfaction, not just temporary pleasure. So, look at yourself in the mirror and be honest about your behaviors around food. If you don't feel addicted to flour, here are three clues that flour may be part of the problem for you. Number one, you're constantly grazing or snacking, especially on things that contain flour. Number two, you feel tired, foggy, or irritable after meals. That's often a blood sugar crash triggered by those refined carbohydrates. And number three, if you feel emotionally attached to certain foods. If the idea of giving up bread, pasta, or your go to baked goods feels emotional or scary, it's something that's worth exploring. This doesn't have to be an all or nothing leap, right? You don't have to cut everything off cold turkey if you're new to this lifestyle. For me, I eased into it over a couple of weeks, and we need to make room for compassionate curiosity when we find ourselves on the other side of our intention. Here's how to test this out for yourself. I want to invite you to be a scientist with yourself. So, step one, remove all of the flour and flour based products for 2 weeks. This includes whole wheat, almond flour, oat flour, cassava flour, anything ground up into a fine powder. Step two, journal your cravings, energy, and hunger levels, and notice whether you feel calmer around food or more reactive. Step three, ask yourself, is this giving me peace or is this keeping me stuck? If it's not a problem, the change will feel easy. But if it is, this short term experiment will reveal so much for you. And if you are feeling resistance right now, I get it. You might be thinking, isn't this restrictive? Or do I really need to give up something that's not a huge problem? And let me just offer you this truth: freedom doesn't come from moderation, it comes from clarity. So, trying to manage addictive foods, if you are a person that is highly susceptible to food addiction and you're trying to manage addictive foods, it's going to keep you in that struggle. By removing them just for a short time, it's going to give you that space to detox and get it out of your system and experience the benefits, the peace, the stability, and the true control that comes from abstinence. And remember, I always say 100% is a breeze, 95% is a beast. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be honest with yourself and open to change. But 100% is easier. It's so much easier than negotiating with yourself constantly. So draw that line in the sand. And I invite you to run the experiment. So, to recap our episode from today, we talked about how sugar can feel addictive because it gives us that instant hit, but flour and processed foods act on the same reward system in your brain, and they also spike your blood sugar. Increases insulin, triggers cravings, just like sugar does. Highly processed foods, especially those combining flour, fat, and salt, override your hunger cues and lead to overeating. Even compliant foods can become problem foods if you're still eating for an emotional reward. And you may not feel addicted to flour, but it still may be keeping you stuck. So, a short term experiment is just removing that flour for 2 weeks and seeing how you feel. Journaling your benefits that can give you some clarity and control. So, if this episode helped you, I would love you to do me a quick favor. Just please take a moment to follow my podcast, leave a rating or a review, and share it with a friend who might need this message today. And that simple act helps more women to find hope and healing through this healthy, real food lifestyle. And it means the world to me. So thank you so much for being here and for helping me to spread this message of hope. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening today. If you enjoyed this podcast, you're going to love my coaching program. If you're struggling with your sugar and flour-free lifestyle and want to lose weight for the last time, I can help you. I guarantee that you achieve your goal body within a year, or I will coach you for free until you do. Just imagine living in your goal body and having peace with food. Your success is guaranteed. To learn more about how to get support, guidance, and accountability so you can find peace with food, achieve your goal body this year, and have more energy, visit www.healthyrealfood.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for the upcoming free challenge to learn the Success Framework. And click the link to my schedule for a free 30-minute one-to-one coaching call so we can get you started on your success path. You have the power to create the life that you want. This is the year of you. I'm cheering you on. Now go win the day. You got this.